Well, nice.
So hello everybody and welcome back to our virtual orientation. Today is the last day and we have Debbie Harrison with us to talk about campus and community safety and also Brighton Erdman. And they will be talking to you and give you tips on how to be safe. Okay, welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Christina. And hi again, everyone. Might be some familiar faces from yesterday's workshop on diversity and inclusion and respect. So this is another area where diversity and inclusion services offers some programming and education and support services for students. So you're going to be hearing a broader presentation on campus safety that will include also some information about your general safety in Canada and in our communities. But this first section is very specifically focused on sexual violence. So for several years now, colleges and universities in Ontario have had active policies and procedures for dealing with sexual violence and educational programs. And this is making a great impact on improving the safety for students. So let me tell you a bit about those, what protections you have, and some educational opportunities for you. If slides will go. Okay, so first of all, what is sexual violence? Because it's a pretty big term and we use language differently in different countries. So you'll see here on this wheel that in fact sexual violence is a continuum. It includes a wide variety of behaviors and experiences, and some that really come up to the edge of what we would call sexual assault, which is actually criminal behavior. And some of these others here is also are criminal. But we focus in terms of campus, managing campus life, um, with behaviors on campus that we would manage through our student rights and responsibilities policy. That might also involve our harassment and discrimination policy. So, yes, there are very serious forms of sexual violence that may happen to students, and we support students anywhere on this wheel here. But what we see obviously most on campus would be in the area of harassment, stalking, experiencing degrading sexual imagery via social media, students sharing information about people, sexual information about other students. So this violence could be perpetrated against you by another student. It could be by an employee, someone who works for the college. And it also might include community members. We're happy to talk to you if you're experiencing something in Canada that even is off campus with a landlord, an employer, someone in the community. That's fine. We'll still be happy to help you. So any experience on this wheel. And later, I'll take questions. Maybe there'll be some terms here. Won't go into each of them. If you have questions um, about anything, just feel free to ask. So, it's really important that international students know your rights. You're coming here to a new country, maybe wondering what the laws are, what's sort of permissible in our society. And um, sometimes you can be a little more vulnerable because of that, just arriving new. So we want you to know that you have the right to consent, and um, and this is in all areas of your life, whether or not you want someone to share sexual images with you, whether you want someone to touch you, whether you want to engage in a sexual relationship with someone. These are all areas where you have consent over your experience and over your body, regardless of your gender, right? It's safety for everyone. Sometimes some Canadians may think that they have some power over you and an ability to harass you just because you're not a citizen of Canada. And they think this gives them some additional control over you. But it's important for you to know that temporary residents of Canada, like any other resident of Canada, um, has equal rights to consent, to be protected, and also to be able to report harassment or any type of sexual violence that you saw on that wheel. So the important thing to know is there is support available for you. You don't have to stay alone in your experience. If someone is threatening you, and I've heard it from students, one threat is, oh well, let's say an employer is touching you in a way that's very uncomfortable for you, and kind of insinuating that if you don't go along with the behavior, they'll report you to immigration. And we just want you to know that that is, or that you can't do anything about it because then they would report you or it'd be bad for you with immigration. So make it really, really clear for you. Victims of sexual violence who report or who simply say, no, I do not accept this, will not experience any kind of reaction through the immigration system. Okay, you are a victim. It is the perpetrator who should be worried about consequences, not you. So do not allow someone to intimidate you with that kind of behavior or threat. So we need to learn more. And so we offer prevention education to every student. So these come in the form of some workshops and activities that we do on campus. And these are co-curricular record, CCR eligible training programs. So if you weren't in my session yesterday and you haven't had a chance to learn about the co-curricular record yet, we have a system in our college that allows you to record all of your sort of outside of your academics, the activities you do there, leadership activities you take on, volunteering you do, many, many workshops and educational programs that you select to do. And there are many departments across the college that offer CCR programming, and it's not just diversity inclusion services, student experience, a library, um, many, many areas offer educational programming, career services, sometimes the academic areas will offer this. So what it is a transcript that collects all your activities, and you can print it or save it as a PDF for your portfolio at any time. And it's all built around employability language to show things that you've learned to employers for some of the top skills that employers are looking for. So our programming is CCR eligible, including one that is mandatory. So right now you have received an email in your Fleming email account, your Outlook account that's available on my campus, and is also available with that QR code right there on the screen. And it's called It Takes All of Us, Creating a Campus Community Free of Sexual Violence. So it's a very short module, just 40 minutes that you do on your own time. You can do it at home, watching it on your phone or your laptop, watch it while you're having dinner, um, watch it with a friend. Make sure you're both going through it on your both of your systems though, if you're watching together, because it needs to record you under your student login that you've actually completed it. If you watch it on someone else's screen, it won't record you as complete, okay? You have to be logged into My Campus. At the end of it, you'll return to a screen where you can do a test, and that's actually what shows your record as complete, right? So your student record will be marked as complete, and I will grant you a co-curricular record recognition for that. So we give you some time to do this up until June 14th. That's right before your reading week break, but we encourage you to do it early. Now, before school starts, is a great time to get it done. Then you're not thinking about it once school starts on May 6th. Okay? And I'll be happy to answer questions about that after as well. I also mentioned we offer support services if something's happening to you. And our module will explain it in a lot of detail. But it's important that you know that the Student Rights and Responsibilities Department is also available to provide confidential, anonymous support to you if you choose it to be anonymous. where you can come and talk about what you're experiencing, and they will go through the different reporting options that are available to you, both on campus or involving the police, if that's something you'd like. They can refer you to health services if you've had physical harm, counseling if you feel that you need um, mental health supports in dealing with what has happened to you. Campus security as well, providing safety plans, safe walk on campus, and also intervening in issues of sexual violence on campus. It can be called anytime. And I'm sure Bryden will talk to you more about contacting them. They can also give you referrals to local hospital, community services, and they can also set up accommodations. Let's say another student is harassing you in your class, and it's become very difficult for you to go to class. Accommodation can be put into place, um, and it would be investigated, and there are possibilities that accommodations could be given to you, like alternate testing arrangements, um, even to the extent of perhaps changing class schedules where you and the perpetrator are in different classrooms. In significant cases on campus, perpetrators of violence could even be expelled from school. So it would go through a process to decide that, but we certainly take your safety deeply into consideration. Okay, so it's important that the survivor of that experience, that's the term we use instead of victim. It's an empowered expression. You've survived something, and moving forward, and a survivor is first in all our reactions to sexual violence. So that's just a little overview. You can reach out to us anytime. You can go directly to Student Rights and Responsibilities and the incident reporting form that's on our website. Or you can come by and just chat with me if you want something more informal. I'd be happy to talk to you at any time about what you're experiencing and make sure that you have support in your life. So I'll stop sharing there. And I don't know if you have any questions before we move on to Bryden's. Any questions about the module or anything else that I've brought up?
If they have any questions after or they want to
Mhm.
ask questions, they could also email, right, Debbie? We'll put that information.
Absolutely. I'll put my email into the chat box, and also I'll be here. You may think of things during the presentation. I'll be here throughout. If later on you come up with questions, just ask.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Debbie.
Okay.
So Bryden, if you would like to start your presentation, since we don't have any questions, please go ahead. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Perfect. Well, thanks everyone. So today's presentation is really on being safe while on campus and again in the community. So statistically, Peterborough and the Kawarthas are a very, very safe part of Canada. Our crime rates are lower than the rest of Canada. But like anywhere, crime can and does occur. So we just want to make sure that you're taking consideration into being safe and considering your safety and the safety of others around you when you're both here at the college or maybe abroad in the community. So understanding that a lot of international students come from different countries of origin, certain parts of the world, public safety agencies, police, fire, EMS, security, they can be corrupt, they can be untrustworthy. It's definitely not like that here in Canada. Specifically in Ontario, public safety agencies, so police services, firefighters, paramedics, security, we're all regulated by the Ministry of the Solicitor General, so we're regulated by the government. The jobs are very well paying and highly sought after. And because of that, the corruption rate amongst these services amongst the lowest in the world. I think we're the 14th lowest as of 2023. So You shouldn't have any hesitations or concerns approaching anyone in uniform and asking them for help, especially in an emergency situation. We're here to help you, and they're not going to take advantage of you like they might in some other parts of the world. So safety in the community. Like other parts of the world, we have a 3-digit number to call, which will get you in touch with emergency services 24/7. Here in Canada, that's 911. It's very similar to like India has 112. So 911 is only for emergencies. It's for calling for any life-threatening emergency requiring police, fire, or ambulance. If you do call 911 for something and there's a prolonged incident that's happening or a prolonged effect on you, and you think that you're in danger or someone else is in danger, we really want to urge you to notify campus security about that, especially if it can translate into the college community. So if you think that something that's happened to you outside of the college might impact you here at the college, we want to make sure that you're reporting it to campus security so we're aware and that we can ensure your safety above what police, fire, EMS might be doing outside of the college. Safety on campus, we have the same resources as far as 911. So 24/7 from any phone you can call 911, and that's for threats to life such as fires, medical emergencies, or if you see someone with a weapon. If an emergency is on campus and it's a little less severe, you can call extension 4444 from any campus phone. And that'll be for things like first aid support, crimes in progress, or if there's someone who's demonstrating behaviors of a violent person or acting violently. And then we have a 24/7 general inquiries number, which is extension 8000. And that can be used for safe walks. So say you need a walk to your vehicle or mode of transportation after hours, parking information, or maybe you need access to a space on campus. And that will have someone from campus security come and meet with you. Calling any of those numbers, whether it's 4444 or 8000, we'll put you in touch with our dispatch, and they'll dispatch a member of security to go and contact you as well. Important to note, for 911, if you call it from any campus safety phone or any landline of the college, our dispatch gets apprised of that as well. So we'll be aware of that 911 call, and we'll probably be the first people on scene before police, fire, EMS. We have a mobile safety app here at the college. It's the Fleming Safe app. So it's free to be downloaded from the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. It really is your #1 safety tool here on campus. So the app will send you important safety messages and alerts if there's an incident or emergency on campus. It has important resources for you to provide support before, during, or after an emergency. And it also has other support resources both here at the college and abroad in the community. These are just some example screens of resources that you'll see throughout the app. Everything from emergency contact. So if you can't remember what the number for police, fire, EMS, and emergency is, you have direct line to 911. There's a direct line to campus security. There's non-emergency numbers for the police, information and parking. Emergency procedures, which we'll talk about in a second, are on there, as well as support resources such as mental health supports, counseling, international student services, and many others. The Fleming Safe app also gets tied into our emergency information system. So depending on the nature of the incident, whether it's a critical outage or if there's actually an emergency on campus, the affected campus will have desktop notification alerts pop up on college screens. So if you're using a college computer or if you're using a laptop that's issued by the college and there's an emergency on campus, you might see a display come up on your screen similar to the one you see on this slide. And that'll essentially tell you what to do, what instructions to follow, and most importantly is it'll block out that computer from being used until the emergency is resolved. So it really ensures that people who might be doing important work or people who are listening to a presentation or maybe on class remotely, they won't be able to partake in that until the emergency is resolved. So every year, campus security and our local fire departments respond to fire emergencies that could have been prevented or avoided on campus. Various reasons for this happening, but predominantly with our international student community, it's just lack of familiarity with some of the fire safety equipment here in Canada specifically. Different parts of the world either have or don't have fire safety mechanisms. One thing that we see on occasion are pull stations like you see in the picture here, being pulled because someone's just not familiar with it. They don't know what it does. It's a brightly colored object. They're curious and accidentally trigger a fire alarm. These are specifically installed in buildings and they're only to be pulled if you actually see fire or a lot of smoke. If you pull them without any reason, the fire department might actually charge you for it. So it's really important for newcomers to Canada to be aware that these pieces of equipment are only to be used during an actual emergency. Similarly, we have fire extinguishers and fire hose cabinets throughout our facilities. These are similar to the pull stations. While not as frequently, we do see people playing with these and tampering with them, mostly just because they're not sure what they are and what they do. It's really important that you don't discharge or play with these unless there's actually a fire and you actually know how to use it. Fire extinguishers here in Canada are predominantly red or silver. I know other parts of the world that I've traveled to, you'll see them anything from being chrome, you might see them being blue, you might see them being checkered blue and high-vis yellow. It depends where you are, but here in Canada, predominantly they're going to be red, and occasionally you'll see one that's a chrome or silver color, like you see in the picture on the left. Fire alarms. So if there is a fire alarm requiring a building evacuation, you're going to hear a really loud ringing bell. It's loud enough that if you have headphones on or if you are not paying attention, it will certainly get your attention. You'll also see a white flashing or strobing light when they're activated. The important thing is when you see this, that you leave the building as quickly as possible. Leave your belongings, get out safely and take others with you. Every year we see people who fail to evacuate despite these bells being rang. We do fire drills 3 times a year just to orientate people to what to do in a fire emergency. And the most important thing is to get out of the building. If you are trying to leave the building and you see smoke or you see flames, use another exit. Don't try and go through it. It just makes it safer for us and for the fire department trying to make sure that there's no one in the building and hopefully not having to go in after people who are still in the building. So I mentioned the Fleming Safe app talks about emergency procedures. So the poster you see here on this slide, you will see, depending on your campus, posted in common spaces, classrooms, and washrooms. It talks about simple instructions on what to do in an emergency. The reason we post these all around the campus is because you might be in the washroom when you hear a fire alarm. You might be in a classroom when there's an active attacker. You might be in a common space when you hear that there's a hold and secure protocol, meaning that we can't leave the building because of a police investigation. All the messaging on here is also available on the Fleming Safe app, and it goes into far more detail on the Fleming Safe app. So again, really encouraging everyone here to download that app. It's free and familiarize themselves with what is expected of you as a member of our community during an emergency. Ontario has an accessibility standard under the AODA, and these posters fall under that. So if you need a copy of these posters in an accessible format, ask Campus Security. You can find it on our website or you can come to our office, and within a reasonable amount of time, we'll provide it to you in the accessible format that you request. So safe public transportation. A lot of our international students rely on public transit for getting around the community to and from campus and going from home to work and etc. We really encourage people only to take the safe and recognized modes of transport. So public transit here in Peterborough and over in Lindsay are going to be Peterborough Transit and Lindsay Transit. This picture is a bus stop here that we have at the Peterborough campus, and that's one of 2 bus stops on the property that you can use. If you're traveling around Southern Ontario, so maybe you're landing in Toronto and you're trying to get to Peterborough or Lindsay from Pearson Airport, there's GO Transit. So you're able to hop on a train from Pearson Airport, the Up Express. You can take it to Union Station, and from Union Station, there's trains or buses that'll take you to Peterborough. Licensed taxis. It's really important that you only use licensed taxis when you're commuting around your communities or from the campus to other places in the province. We see a lot of international students and a lot of domestic students too using ride-sharing programs. The problem that we see with ride-sharing, we see it quite frequently and every semester almost, is that those operators and drivers aren't vetted and licensed like taxis are in our communities. So in order to drive a taxi, such as Capital Taxi here in Peterborough, City Cabs, or Kawartha Lakes Taxi over in Lindsay, drivers have to make sure they don't have a criminal record. They have to provide proof of that to the police and to the licensing agency fairly routinely. Rideshares don't have that, and we have seen international students predominantly victimized by some criminals who are operating rideshare programs. So you'll see stuff from stalking to criminal harassment. to sexual violence, which Debbie was talking about a few minutes ago. So while we can't tell you not to take rideshare apps or rideshare programs, we really encourage you not to. It's just in your best interest, and it's a safer alternative to use one of these other transit systems. So liquor or alcohol, beer, wine, whatever you want to call it here in Ontario specifically, we have some laws that are different from the rest of Canada and the rest of the world. Here in Ontario, you have to be 19 years of age or older to buy, use, or possess alcohol. So if you're 18 and you're coming to Ontario and you're coming to the Fleming, you can't drink alcohol. You can't even hold it for a friend if you're under the age of 19. If you are 19 or older, you can consume alcohol in private residences. So you can drink it at home, you can drink it in your apartment, you can drink it in residence. The important thing about some of these areas is that you can't do it in common areas. So stairwells, hallways, elevators, you have to actually be in your dwelling or where your apartment or your house is. You can't be out on the sidewalk doing that. You can't be in common areas where other people are. You can drink in licensed establishments, so certain patios, bars, and restaurants. Again, you can't take that alcohol outside. You can't drink it on the sidewalk. And then certain licensed outdoor venues. So some sporting fields allow alcohol. Some fairgrounds and concert venues will allow alcohol, but you have to follow the rules of those establishments and those events based on their liquor license. The best thing you can do is if you don't know, ask somebody. And if you don't know, maybe just don't drink in that area at all. Alcohol and driving. So here in Canada, it is a criminal offense to drink alcohol and drive. It is our leading cause of death, fatalities on the roadways, not just for those driving, but victims in other vehicles that, or even pedestrians that aren't drinking. If you have a blood alcohol concentration of 0.08 or higher, you will face criminal charges. It's a mandatory charge by the police, so they're obligated to charge you. If you're drinking and you have a blood alcohol concentration between 0.005 and 0.79, you're in the warn range. So you get a 3-day license suspension. You'll probably get your vehicle impounded or towed at the very least, and some other penalties if it happens repeatedly. Penalties for drinking and driving here in Ontario or Canada from a criminal standpoint, mandatory minimum fines to life imprisonment. It really depends on how severe it is and how many times you've done it. Obviously, with a student visa, you don't want to jeopardize that. So the best thing you can do is don't jeopardize other people, don't drink and drive, and don't get in the car with someone who's been drinking. It's not worth your life, and it's certainly not worth ruining the lives of other people and your loved ones should you get injured with that. A really important thing to know too is if you are the age of 21 or under, or if you have a learner's permit, so one of the graduated licensing systems for a vehicle or a license or for a motorcycle here in Ontario, you can't have any blood alcohol content. So if you are over the age of 21, you could possibly have a drink and still drive because you wouldn't be over that limit. But if you're under that or you have a graduated license, you can't do it, and you're going to face some of those consequences we talked about earlier. Roadside suspension of your driver's license, towing and impoundment of your vehicle, and some other fines associated with that as well. Stunt driving is something that campus security has specifically been asked by the police to talk about, specifically with our international students. We're seeing a real increase both on campus and in the surrounding communities through our policing partners about people driving vehicles in a reckless and dangerous manner. Stunt driving has a very broad definition under the Highway Traffic Act. It could be anything from street racing. It could be anything from you driving in a way that is racing. It could be you doing a drag race with another vehicle from a red light or a stop sign. It could be you breaking your tires free intentionally, trying to drift is a common term that's used. And it's not tolerated. 30-day driver's license suspension, 14-day vehicle impoundment, a monetary fine the first time of $2,000 before a victim surcharge, and that can go up to $10,000 depending on the frequency of offense or the severity, and a jail sentence of 6 months in serious cases. So it is something we see on campus a lot. It's something that our policing partners are seeing in the community, and it's something that is enforceable on private property. So as recently as yesterday, we had stunt driving here on the property here in Peterborough, and it's something that isn't tolerated. So we just want to make sure that if you are operating a vehicle, or if your friends are operating a vehicle in this manner, you educate them not to. It's not worth the safety of the community, especially here at the college, And definitely you don't want to face those criminal or provincial charges for doing that. Plus, your vehicle's gonna be impounded. You're not gonna have it back for at least 2 weeks. And sometimes the judge will make that a longer duration. Depending on the severity of how you're driving, they might also go after criminal charges. So you can have a dangerous operation charge under the criminal code, and that jail sentence is up to 10 years. So the court takes it very seriously, and you want to make sure that you're driving safely and following to our laws here in Canada that might be different from other parts of the world. The picture you see on the slide here is a fairly recent one from here in Peterborough. I don't know if it was an international student or another member of the community, but it's something that our policing partners had on their social media. This is a vehicle that was going 129 kilometers an hour in a 40-kilometer-hour zone. So obviously they are going well over 3 times the legal speed limit. And they got their vehicle towed, and I'm sure they got more than just provincial charges for this one. Smoking and electronic or vape use here in Ontario. So again, different from other parts of the world, different from other provinces. Specifically here in Ontario, you want to make sure that you know that you can't smoke or vape indoors. So that means in your apartment, that means in condos, that means in university and college residences. So if you're staying at our student residences, you can't smoke or vape inside. You can't smoke or vape at school, on school grounds, and in all public areas within 20 meters of these grounds. College property falls into that. We do make accessible smoking spaces for people who do indulge. So if you are smoking on college property, you have to be in a designated smoking area. We want to make sure that people are following that, because if the health unit comes by or other provincial offense officers, it's a $250 ticket for the first offense. And there is zero tolerance with the health unit on that one. So if you are smokers or you are using vapes, electronic vapes, just make sure you're following the law with that, please. Other places you can't smoke in the province or vape, or workplaces or publicly owned spaces. So if you have a job here, if you're allowed to work, you can't smoke or vape within the workplace. If you're going to a hospital or a medical facility, and other outdoor areas. So if you're on a patio at a restaurant, or if you're at a government building outside, or if you're at an outdoor sports complex, maybe you're going to a soccer game or another sporting game, you can't smoke in the stands there either. I'm sure many people here are aware that cannabis has been legal in Canada for several years now. It's very similar to alcohol in Ontario, so you have to be 19 or older to buy, use, or possess it. This includes growing it recreationally. Like I said, it's the same age for tobacco and alcohol use in the province, so it's handled very similarly, even though it's a different piece of legislation. The important thing we want you to know is if you are going to be indulging in cannabis use, if you are going to be purchasing it or using it, you only get it from an authorized retailer. So you'll see cannabis retailers all throughout Peterborough. I don't know how many we have now. I'm sure it's over 100. It's really important you buy that and you acquire it from people at an authorized retailer versus someone off the street. Even if you have a friend or you know someone who says it's legitimate and safe, don't risk it. Every year we have fatalities from people taking cannabis and smoking it where it's been laced with fentanyl or ketamine or other controlled illegal drugs, and it's just not worth your safety. Smoking and vaping cannabis products, it's very similar to cigarettes. So you can do it only at private residences. So you can do it inside your actual residence, but you can't do it in common areas like hallways, elevators, and stairwells like we are talking about. You can smoke it outdoors in the community, but it depends on the park or the sidewalk you're in. So make sure you're checking those laws and where you are as well. And designated smoking guest rooms in some hotels will allow it, but not very many right now. Just because cannabis or marijuana is legal in Canada doesn't mean it is without consequence. So you can't have an unlimited amount. Here in Ontario, you're allowed to have 30 grams or about 1 ounce of dried cannabis or equivalent in public at any time. So this picture here shows what the average person can hold, and that's 30 grams right there. So that's barely able to be held in both hands when you're out and about. So make sure if you are purchasing it or if you have it on your person, that you don't exceed this amount, because you could be looking at some criminal charges if you have more than that. Other drugs and controlled substances. So like we talked for a little bit here, cannabis or marijuana is legal, but other controlled substances aren't. So unless you have a prescription, you can't have any sort of prescription medications. You certainly can't have other drugs that you would find on the street through dealers, anything from opium to heroin to methamphetamine or crystal meth. These products, cocaine, crack, are all illegal to possess in Canada. You will be arrested. Peterborough Police has a zero tolerance policy right now. So if you are found to be in possession or with someone in possession of any of these substances, you will be charged. That's the stance the current chief of police in Peterborough has taken. It's not worth you losing your education over or certainly facing criminal charges. And most importantly, your safety. These drugs are illegal for a reason. It's not safe for you to take them. You don't know what's in them. Every year we have, dozens of people die in Peterborough from taking illegal drugs. The charges for these are highlighted in red here. I won't go over what they are, but they're quite severe if you're caught with them or found with someone who has them. So just be smart, please. Don't have them in our community, and certainly don't add to the epidemic we're seeing with it by, peddling them or by selling them on the street yourself when you're here. And I will open it up to questions from anyone.
Thank you so much. This is so important. If I only knew these things when I arrived in Canada 20 years ago, would have made my life so much easier, right? And you're getting this information before you even come here. And for those who are here, this is so important. Thanks so much, Debbie and Brayden, for providing our students with such important information. So if you have any questions, make sure you put on the chat. We're going to be monitoring those questions for the next minutes or so. And please, yes. So we have a first question. Is there really a fee for parking for students? Isn't there free parking?
So it's a great question. All parking here at the college is paid. Even staff like myself and Chris and Debbie have to pay for parking when we come here. You'd think it would be free, but that parking fee is actually really important for us. It maintains our parking lots. It makes sure that your walkways are maintained and free of snow in the winter, which I'm sure some of you will experience for the first time. So no, it's not free, but it is pretty cost effective for parking here.
Mhm. And you also see that there's paid parking downtown as well, right? So there will be paid parking. Yes, the same thing. Great question, guys. Another question is there any way checking whether a product contains cannabis because it is still illegal in my home country?
If it's a licensed product, it'll have a label on it that'll say that it's a cannabis or THC product. So you can find that online on Google or any other search engines. And you can also find on the Ontario websites. They're standardized labels that would go on those products. If it's something that someone's laced at home or a homemade product, it's not going to have a label, and just play it safe and don't risk it.
Mhm. Thank you. Any more questions, guys? I particularly like when I have to work late at the college and I'm walking to my car. I really enjoy having company. I feel safer. So it's really a good thing that we have this service on campus.
Yes, anyone can ask for a safe walk. All around campus, you'll find phones that you can use to dial 8000 or just go to the front desk.
Mhm.
Security will be happy to give you a walk.
I'm just going to answer to a question that has nothing to do with the safety, but there was a private question to me that may be a question for some of you. So for the networking day on May 2nd, the tickets are specific for programs. So look at the programs. You don't have to get all 4 tickets. It's just one ticket for the time that your program is showing, and just get that one. Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that. I just want to clarify.
Well, also while they're thinking, just note I'll pop in a link directly in the chat box to your mandatory sexual violence prevention training. So really encourage you to get that done early. And we'll be out in the hallway next Thursday and Friday as well through the midday from 11 till 1, both days, playing some games, just helping you learn about the module. Hint, I give questions from the knowledge test that the module uses live in person. So, hey, come and learn the right answers. You'll be guaranteed to get through the module. Okay, we're here to help you do it. It's not meant to be like an academic program. It's just meant really for your learning, right, and your safety. So come and learn.
Thank you, Debbie. There's a question about driving tests. So a student is asking, is the driving test center close to Fleming College or Sutherland? Actually, about driving, it's great if you can get your driver's license in Canada, right? You may be doing a lot of more things if you have a car. Can anyone comment about the center?
I believe it's just down on the Parkway or Kingsway, so it's not terribly far from here. It's probably 2 kilometers or 3 kilometers at most.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right near the Lansdowne shopping plaza. If you've been there yet in your arrival in Canada, or if not, you'll be there soon. Lots of students go there for phone plans and various services and shopping. It's just about a block, 2 blocks from there.
I'd like to suggest if you're coming to Canada, you want to drive in Canada, make sure that you're doing a couple of classes before, because laws in Canada, driving laws are different. I remember coming, I had a lot of experience from Brazil, but when I got here, I could not understand the turning left thing. For me, it was so strange that people would stop in the middle of the lane to turn left. If you do that in Brazil, you're going to be banging, having an accident for sure, right? So make sure that you are having classes, that you have a couple of classes and you are with instructors before you do your test so that you understand the laws in Canada.
Quiet crowd today, Christina.
Yes, quiet. Or the presentation was so good that they don't have any questions. It was pretty straightforward to me, yes. All right, just checking, just to let you guys know, and a reminder that we do have 2 more sessions coming after this one. It's not they are not mandatory, but you may have questions for international student services. So we'll have our team there to answer questions. Or you may be looking for housing and you haven't found housing yet, and you need some tips on how to find housing. So there is a session as well. I'm just going to put the link, the information for those. So Ask Us starts at 11:30. All right, any more questions, guys? And if it's not, I'm gonna release our presenters for they are now preparing for you to be on campus, actually, right? There's tons of things to do. We are here preparing to see you on May 2nd, preparing to have you on campus and safely into your class and happy to be in Canada and your new country, right? Your new home. Just remember that we are here to support you. Anyone at Fleming, you can ask questions. We are very approachable. If you don't know something, make sure you're asking, right? We're here to help you. We're here to be here for you, your family away from home, okay? So thank you very much, Debbie and Bryden for doing this great presentation. Varsha for being here again, supporting our students. If you have any questions, you can also email international@flemingcollege.ca. Okay, I'll see you next. If you have any questions in our international Ask Us, 11:30. See you guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.